today, John, everyone is using that word a lot. Trauma, trauma, trauma. I had trauma. Now we're treating the trauma, not with that method, with other ways. So it feels, and if you hadn't have done that, he would have walked around his whole life thinking about that incident as a traumatic one, and probably would have lived his life in the past and maybe not even move forward.
Every time we have an imbalanced perspective and our ratios of perceptions are imbalanced, and we're seeing more positives and negatives, which create amygdala-driven impulses towards, or the other one more conscious of the negatives, unconscious of the positives, more negatives than positives, and then we have now the instinct away. Anytime we do, we store that in our amygdala and hippocampus, which has been called the subconscious mind. It stores the information, and it's there for fear of predator and to seeking prey again. So it's storing to make sure we survive. It's a survival response, but it's incomplete, because within the predator, there's opportunity. Within the prey, there's downsides. If a person has nothing but prey, food or whatever, and they're gluttonous and they're fat and there's no predator, they'll get gluttonous fat and they'll lose fitness. If they get predator without prey, they'll get emaciated and starve without fitness. But you put the predator and prey together in a food chain and keep them in check. You'll eat just enough to make sure that you're fit, and you'll maximize your fitness and keep on the edge. So you must have maximum growth and development occurs at the border of support and challenge. And so all pairs of opposites is what real love is. The love is the growth factor when you finally realize that they're both there. And they're constantly there, but we subjectively bias our interpretations of reality and only see one side at a time. Once we see both sides at a time, we're poised, present, purposeful, prioritized, and we're productive. And that's where our power is.
Those 5 Ps you want to constantly have in your life. And that's why people say, I'm gonna retire when I'm 65, and then everything's gonna be great. And they do that, and they lose maybe that predator instinct, and then they realize, I'm not happy with this.
I got a story, I got to share.
I love it.
So I was in Sydney, and there's a lovely lady there that has a company called Corporate Wisdom, and she works for McKinsey Corporation and Boston Consulting. And so they had this client. They said, John, can you come in and just kind of be with this client? I said, sure. So I fly up to Melbourne with this group. And we're sitting there, and I meet with 4 executives first. And it's a company that's a paper company and a forestry company, and they make all the paper pretty well in Australia. And the guys are talking there, and they said, well, we've got a CEO. He's 63 years old. He's sort of fading and ready to retire. And the company's losing its edge. We were number 1, now we're number 4. And he's just not there. We either want to fire him up or fire him out and take over, because we know we can make this company go again. So one way or the other, let's get him fired up or fire him out. Can you help us? I said, sure. So we come in there, and I asked the guy. He finally came in, the executive, the founder. I said, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to tell me what you believe, what you assume is happening in the business. And whenever you hear dissociations and blames on the outside, you know it's all BS. So he said, well, the Japanese are doing this, and they're coming in at different price margins, and we can't do that. And this is what's happening in our market, and this regulation came in, and he gave all these things outside. And I said, now that the BS is out of the way, you've catharsed out the BS, I'm going to ask you a very powerful question. I said, what is it that inspired you to start this, found this company? And he looked at me and paused for a second. And he looked at the guys, and he said, when I was a boy, there was segregation between the rich and the poor, and the blacks and the whites. And I was in an area that all of a sudden desegregation occurred, and I had to get on a bus, and I had to go over to a really nice school. The very first day I went to the school, I was the only guy on the bus that didn't have new shoes, new clothes, new paper, new pads, new, school supplies. When I got to class, I felt, by the law of contrast, humiliated, rejected, devalued, out of place. I didn't want to be there. It was so humiliating that as I went through the day and felt completely squashed, I didn't want to get on the bus to go home. So instead of doing that, after everybody left, I walked around the entire school in all the trash cans, and anywhere where I saw paper or a pencil or a pen in the trash can, I grabbed them. I walked home with all the paper, And I cut the paper out and put a weight on it and kind of moistened it and heated it and put a weight on it and glued the end and made my own pad of paper. So I was not embarrassed the next day by having a pad of paper. I grabbed some pencils and I sharpened them. I washed my shoes. I had my clothes as clean as I could. And I went the next day so that contrast was less. I started this company because I didn't ever want to have a kid be put in that situation when they didn't have paper. When he shared that story, everybody in that room, including me, was in tears. The executives never heard the story. And all I said to him afterwards, I said, did you forget the kids? Did you get so successful that you depurposed yourself? Anytime you start to think you're successful, you tend to go to lower priority things. By the law, they call the moral licensing effect. You tend to go depurpose yourself to go to lower priority things to humble you from your pride, to get you back in authenticity. And if you don't do that and get back to authenticity, you lose the clarity of your mission. Forget the mission. Forget the reason why you're there. He said, I lost my mission. I said, now make a decision. Do you want to fade out and you are fading out? Or are you going to be inspired? And then he said, now I'm frightened. I said, what is the fear? He says, I've been giving an impression, even though my whispering intuition has been whispering to me, been an impression that I'm going to be home finally for my wife, because I basically sacrificed my family during these years. And he says, and I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid, I'm used to being in command. I'm afraid when I go home, I don't know who I am. And I said, well, retirement, there's nothing wrong with retirement as long as it doesn't get in the way with your work, your mission. He says, I bet if you went to your wife, I bet she's got anxiety too about you coming home because you're used to telling people what to do, and she's not looking forward to that. And he says, well, that's definitely evident. He says, do you think you can talk her into maybe keeping your mission going and maybe just scheduling some time to be with her and making it where it's a vacation or something like that? And he looked at me and said, I needed to hear that because I've been basically programming that I'm supposed to retire at 65. And I said, and I don't even know where that came from, but it's there inside me somehow. And I said, well, have a conversation with your wife and make a decision. Are you going to be on board or you're off board? Because if you're going to be on board, let's take command and let's turn the company. If not, let's give it to people who are ready and eager and thirsty to want to take it. He made a decision to do it. In 3 months, the company was turning. In 6 months, back on top. It had nothing to do with the world on the outside. You know, it's all about the inside. And most people, I said in The Secret many years ago, when the voice and the vision on the inside is louder than all opinions on the outside, you begin to master your life. When we have intrinsic drive, which is part of an expression of our highest values, we are empowered and we're unstoppable, and we do incremental momentum building achievements that become a legacy building. But the second we go and try to let extrinsic systems become the false causalities of our reality, we automatically hold ourselves back from our greatness. And he got on track. Back on track, because he remembered his mission.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim, watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year is going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it.
This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm going to tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone. Also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline.
I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up.
If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make?